What's up, everybody? Hey, Tom Laird here, host of the Advice from a Call Center Geek podcast and founder of Expedia. For exceptional contact center outsourcing, trust Expedia. We're fully AI-driven, as all of you know, and can handle voice, email, chat, and all of your digital channels. Our 600-seat USA contact center is expert in healthcare, financial services, insurance, tech support, retail, and more. Experts on the NICE CX1 platform, we ensure seamless customer experiences. DM me or visit expediausa.com for more.
This is Advice from a Call Center Geek, a weekly podcast with a focus on all things call center. We'll cover it all from call center operations, hiring, culture, technology, and education. We're here to give you actionable items to improve the quality of yours and your customers' experience. This is an evolving industry with creative minds and ambitious people like this guy. Not only is his passion call center operations, but he's our host. He's the CEO of Expedia Interaction Marketing Group and the Call Center Geek himself, Tom Laird.
Welcome back, everybody, to Advice from a Call Center Geek, the call center and contact center podcast where we try to give you some actionable items that hopefully can help you improve your contact center, improve the overall agent quality, and hopefully improve the customer experience as well. Hi, everybody. My name is Tom Laird. I am the CEO of Expedia Interaction Marketing. Expedia is a call center outsourcing company located here in northwestern Pennsylvania. We are a 500-seat, rapidly growing operation here. So how's everybody doing? I apologize for not having a podcast last week. I had some health issues in my family. My dad he's 80 years old and had some heart problems, and we did the whole heart cath thing and had some stents put in and kind of did all that. So again, I apologize for kind of skipping out on last week, but life kind of got in the way. I think it's funny too. There is a following now, which if you would have told me when the first podcast was done on that Christmas, I guess kind of Christmas morning last year of 2018, that there would actually be enough people listening that they would notice when we missed a week, I would have told you were crazy. So, I actually thank you guys for all the emails I got asking, saying, "Hey, what's going on here? It's Thursday, Friday. There's no podcast. So you doing one this week? What's the episode on?" So that's pretty cool. So again, thank you guys all for the following. The following on LinkedIn, the following on Facebook. Again, please, if you have not liked us or followed us on Facebook, check out the Advice from a Call Center Geek page there. Trying to get a community together where we can, once we get that to a kind of a tipping point of members and followers, then I think we can do some really cool things with that as well. So check that out. And also, kind of as my cheap plug that I always do, we have two books that are out, and one is Advice from a Call Center Geek that you can find on Amazon, and the new one, which came out in the middle of August, about 6 weeks ago, is More Advice from a Call Center Geek. So check that out. It's on Amazon. I would suggest that you do not get the first one, get the second one, because it's kind of the first one with about another 50, 60 pages of content and material that we've added into it. So check that out. All right, so for today's episode, I want to talk about onboarding and some of the technical pieces of it, and then get a little bit into some of the things that we do during training. So this is when we hire an associate, what are some of the hardcore procedural things that we do, and then also what happens when they get into training, and or what are some of the kind of the high end overview things that we do there. So I want to talk about something that could be interesting to some of you, and maybe some of you are going to shut this podcast right off, but it's actually the packet that we have all of the associates sign. So if you're into kind of the HR piece of the onboarding, I think that this is kind of an important piece of this. So I actually have a packet here. Excuse the squeak. I got a squeaky chair here, if you hear any of that in the background. Again, I am not a professional podcaster, as you guys well know. So, I'm just trying to do this as best I can with my cool Yeti mic and some of the information that I want to give. So this is the actual folder that each new hire call center associate gets, right? And here are some of the forms I want to talk about. And I want to talk about some of the I guess, HR hardcore forms, and then I want to get into some of the policy things that we have each of the associates sign. So maybe that will kind of help you, maybe think of some of the policies you should have in your call center. So the first one, obviously, we just have a general information form. Everybody has this: name, address, social, date of birth. We're just asking for the emergency contact information on this form. This is where we kind of, check off with the 2 forms of ID that the new hire gave us. We ask things like, method of transportation too. So we like to keep that as a little bit of a database. So if ever, we do have a carpool, and we do get some of those things going where we, pull some reps together. We also do some Uber things during the wintertime. So we know kind of what people what their method of transportation is. And also if they take the bus, we're pretty, liberal with that of how their schedule works. If they need to leave 15 minutes early to go catch the bus, things like that. All right. The other kind of HR hardcore forms is there's an employee eligibility verification. That's kind of the U.S. government form from Homeland Security, making sure that they are U.S. citizens. So everybody fills that form out. We also then go to a Expedia background check authorization. So all of our call center associates get background checks. They have to obviously agree to have the background check. So we have a form and a policy that they do that. Every single employee signs a non-disclosure agreement. And basically, to sum that up, is kind of what you see here stays here. So, any of our quote-unquote trade secrets, any employee information, any training manuals, all of that stuff needs to stay under wraps. No one can talk about a client. No one can talk about anything that really that they see or do here, when it comes to specific clients, specific data, those types of things. I think that's important no matter if you're an internal center or not. And I know a lot of the bigger call centers will do that. But even if you're a smaller one, think about just, kind of getting an NDA for your associates. And then the last kind of HR hardcore form is we have to do a Pennsylvania workman's comp form that they kind of understood all of the impact of workman's comp and kind of how that works. So again, not very fun. All right. Pretty straightforward. The last kind of, I guess, not fun form is just the payroll and direct deposit form. So they also sign a direct deposit form, give their account information if that's how they want it. If they want a check, they can have a check. But obviously we offer direct deposit for any of the employees, and then their W-4 for any withholdings that they need to do. All right. So that's kind of the, cookie cutter. Everybody kind of does that. You got to do it from an HR standpoint to get all your ducks in a row. And then the other cool thing is, we do have some Expedia specific, and I'm taking this off out of the folder here. Expedia specific policies that will be specific just to us, that will be different for any of your organizations. But I think, this kind of gives you an idea of some of the things that we do. We as an organization are a little bit more conservative than most companies, especially in the call center space now. And I think you'll see that kind of with the policies. All right, so the first one that the employees sign is, and we did a whole podcast on this, which is our cell phone and wearable technology policy. So again, like it, hate it, whatever, we do not allow cell phones on our call center floor. We do not allow wearable technology on our call center floor. So Apple Watches, those types of things can't be on the call center floor. Anything that you can, take down information from account information, take it down customer data and kind of store it or email it. Obviously our computers are totally shut down. So there's no email. You can't put a USB port in there. Everything is locked down. But for us, again, this is really important. And the policy is seen or heard, right? And I know that that's super strict, but we make sure that we go over this policy. It's the first policy we go over. And we say, hey, we get nicer from here, but we want to at least start so that everybody understands. So the cell phone cannot be seen or heard, or your wearable technology cannot be seen or heard, or it's an automatic suspension. All right. The next policy that we have is a video and audio tape consent form, or record consent form. You kind of show maybe how old some of us are. But basically, this is for QA. Especially for QA, if we can make sure that we can record, the agents when they're on the phone. that they agree to that. And then also, in all of our, general areas from a security standpoint, we do have cameras. We do have cameras on the call center floor. We have cameras in the lobby. We have cameras in the hallway just for everyone's security and protection. And everybody understands that, they could be recorded, if there's any kind of issue that may arise, between a rep or between an associate. They understand and they agree that, they can be recorded and that, we can kind of keep that data. One of the things that I wanted to kind of talk a little bit longer about, and maybe we need to do almost a full podcast on this, is we do have a full social media engagement policy for the company. And basically, we said, and I'm going to read this to you. So acceptable use of social media. And we say, while the use of social media is expected, all employees must protect Expevia's reputation and act in an appropriate and responsible manner on social media. These guidelines are intended to help manage risks associated with social media, such as reputation, legal, privacy, and compliance risks that may happen in our business. So employees they can talk about Expedia as their employer on social media sites. We have no problem with that. They can post events. These events could be corporate events. They could be volunteer events. They could be employee specific events. They cannot represent themselves as a spokesman for Expedia, right? They can't post slanderous, defamatory, threatening. They can't harass employees on social media. They can't post images, obviously, about anything here without that being approved. And they shouldn't have their phone in the call center anyway. But even if they're in the lobby, those types of things, and then they can't act, upon Expedia as kind of our PR voice. So that's important, and times are changing. So, we are actually going to take this to another level, and we're working right now on literally a Facebook-specific post, an policy, a Facebook-specific policy, Instagram-specific policy, and Twitter-specific policy. We're getting to a TikTok. We're close to a TikTok policy because, the reps are kind of getting into that too, especially some of our younger reps. Something to think about, something I think is important, and I think you got to kind of CYA, and you got to protect yourself. We have a payroll distribution policy. So before we had direct deposit, which was a while ago, but we still do this because some reps still like a check. We make sure, and if you are working, Friday morning, we give your check out on Thursday so that you have time to go, if you're working like a Thursday after or Friday afternoon, let's take that back, a Friday afternoon, and you don't have time to cash your check, we give it to you Thursday night so that you have time, Friday morning to go do that. But you have to make sure that you're here, right? So if you call off on Thursday, you don't get your check on Thursday. And if we're seeing that there's multiple calls on Friday, we're not going to give that to you as well. So again, I can get deeper into that. I think that's more of a specific to us kind of thing. And then we talk about our dress code policy. And this is something that spurs a lot of, not from our reps because they're used to it, but when I post this on Facebook, on LinkedIn, I get so much pushback, and people think that, we're in the Stone Age and we're just mean to our employees because I guess having people come in a shirt and tie is now kind of mean. But, we think that if you dress up for work, you kind of flip that switch and you change your mentality. So we do have a dress code policy, and guys are all in shirts and ties here at Expedia, and there is a female dress code that could be a little bit old school, but we do have that. If anybody would like that, I'm not going to go deep into it, but we have a full 5-page policy on this. So if anybody would like to see what the dress code policy is, shoot me a DM on LinkedIn, shoot me an email, tlaird@expevia.net. And I'm more than happy. And in fact, guys, any of these policies that you want, if you want any of them, let me know, and I'm more than happy. The next policy is we have, name badges for everybody. So they have to make sure that they're wearing their name badges at all times. And we use T-sheets, which I've done a podcast on for all of our logging in, logging out. So we have, iPads that are dispersed throughout the call center on kiosks. So this is how the reps log in, log out, with a 4-digit PIN, and then it takes a picture, does some facial recognition, make sure it's that rep, make sure there's not 2 people in the picture, and just kind of explains the clocking and clocking out procedure. We go over that in training, but they need to just understand kind of what you can do and what you can't do with that. And then one of the last here, I got 2 more, and they kind of go hand in hand, is We did a whole podcast on our kind of you own the paycheck policy, where we talked about, kind of going streaking, or our attendance policy. So we really discussed that in depth, how basically if you just show up to work, you're going to make, within a month or 2 months, you can make at least $2 more an hour just by showing up every single day. I'm not going to get into that. That's with the multiplier and the streak. There's a whole podcast on that. If you have any type of attendance issues in your call center, you got to watch that, because it has raised our attendance. It was 37% the last time I checked. That was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. I know we've stayed about that level, so I don't know exactly what the number is, but it's raised our attendance by a third, which is pretty crazy. And then we do have a longevity pay increases for employees. So every year of service that you're here, you do get extra money, and we kind of go over that and just have the employees make sure that they understand that. So that's kind of the packet. I know that's kind of in depth, right? Those are the high level policies that we need them to sign. Those are obviously the hardcore HR pieces of information that we need them to go input them into our HR system. We use Bamboo HR, by the way. We love it. We've used it since the beginning. I think it's a really cool system and has worked really well for us and allows us to scale up, scale down. So that's kind of what we use from an HR standpoint, this FYI. So just real quick, on a real high level. So obviously the associate on their first day are going to come in. We're going to have a class. Normally our classes, if you're an agent on the floor, the most we'll do is 15. Most classes are in that 10 to 15 range. So, you're in a class of that. We're going to go over this packet with you, give you some time to kind of fill out all that. We're going to discuss each policy with you, and then we're going to go kind of deeper into the culture piece, right? The culture piece is huge here. The attitude and effort. We have some videos. We have some other policies. We have some things that we like to show them that really talk about who we are, what we stand for. Really try to drive that home before you even talk about anything. Just really, discussing who Expedia is. The next thing we do is we do play some games. We have a lot of games going on every single day in training. So icebreakers to get everybody to know each other. We have a couple games that I'll get into next week. I should have brought them with me, but the HR staff does a really good job, and our training staff does a really good job. They have it's kind of a pirate treasure hunt that they do, and everybody breaks up into teams, and that maybe I'll get into that a little bit next week. I think that's pretty cool and kind of fun. But they do some icebreakers. They take the tour, right, and we try to make sure that everyone greets them. So it's really important that the new hires just don't walk in and everybody's kind of staring at them and saying, "Oh my God, look at them," and whispering, right? You've all seen that, or you've been a part of it. So we try to greet every single person. I try to go into the class and talk to them. And then speaking of that, we do have each senior person, in the first 3 days, go give a 10 to 15 minute talk to these guys. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. We used to have a set kind of class that everybody would give, but we've kind of gotten a little bit away with that and made it more of a whatever you really want to talk about, or if there's anything important, or how you want to kind of get your message across to these guys. I think it's more important that you just kind of show your face. And then we kind of get more into again, policies, procedures. We get into the legal aspect of things, the TCPA, the do not call list. Every single day they are tested on those types of things. They're tested on our culture things. They're tested on our policies. And once we get done, and normally we do about 30 hours of Expedia / policy / tours, everybody walking through. And then we kind of start to see what type of program they'll be on after that first week. And we start the training of that. So we do, close to a week of Expedia training. And then we get deeper into the actual program training. And for most of these guys, they're going to be in training for about a month. So it's about a week of Expedia. And on average, each client is about 2 to 3 weeks of training. Some are as long as 6 weeks, but 2 to 3 weeks of training, and then a week of onboarding in that classroom, and then they're off onto the floor. So we do a giant graduation once they pass the final test. We do the high fives. Everybody gets announced to their team and kind of make a big deal of it when they actually enter onto the floor. So that's kind of a brief overview, guys, of kind of our onboarding. I wanted to get more into, I guess, the packet than actually how we work the classes, because I think that was kind of interesting, and how you can really get specific on the types of policies and the type of culture that you want to have, based on some of the things that you're presenting to your associates right from the beginning. So thank you guys very much. Thank you for understanding the skipping of last week's podcast. I really enjoy doing these, so I hate missing them. So we'll be back again. We'll be back again next week. But again, I appreciate everybody. Please post your review. If you're getting the book, I'd love to hear your book. More Advice from Call Center Geek has no reviews right now. So if you could do that and be the first, I would appreciate it. And then obviously the podcast, if you can type a review and talk about why you like it or want some of the really cool things that you've gotten out of it, I'd appreciate it as well. Thank you guys very much. I'll talk to you next week.